People hear that AI can build an app from a single prompt and they immediately think that that's the business. It's not. The app is just the tool, the business is the problem it solves. That's the mistake I see over and over again. Someone opens an AI builder, asks it to make something cool, gets a polished looking dashboard, and then wonders why nobody wants to use it. Because nobody wakes up hoping to use another dashboard. They wake up trying to solve a problem. That's what people pay for, not software, but solutions. So before I ever opened Base 44, I didn't ask myself, what app should I build? I asked, what's slowing my business down right now? Because if AI can remove friction from a real business, that's where it becomes interesting. Not because it wrote code, because it created leverage. And that's exactly what I wanted to test. Every week, my marketing agency talks to new businesses looking for help. Some are ready to start immediately, some are just exploring, some aren't a good fit at all. The challenge isn't getting people to fill out the form. The challenge is knowing who deserves our attention first. Normally that means opening forms, reading notes, checking emails, looking at budgets, trying to remember previous conversations, and piecing everything together before anyone ever picks up the phone. It works, but it doesn't scale, and every minute spent organizing information is a minute we're not helping clients. So instead of building another random AI project, I decided to solve that problem. What if every lead came into one place? What if the important information was already organized? What if I instantly knew who was ready to buy, who needed a follow-up, and who wasn't the right fit? Not because AI magically understood my business, but because it gave it a process to follow. That's the experiment. Can AI take a real workflow that's already happening inside my agency and make it faster without making it more complicated? Because if it can do that, this isn't just another AI demo. It becomes something I'd actually use every single day. So here's what I wanted to build. Not a revolutionary app, not the next billion-dollar startup, just something my agency would actually use. The idea was simple. When someone wants to work with us, they fill out a short form. We ask the questions we'd normally ask during the sales process. What's your business? What are you trying to accomplish? How much are you planning to invest in marketing? How soon do you want to get started? Pretty standard stuff. But instead of that information getting scattered across different tools, I wanted everything to flow into one place. Then I wanted the app to do something that's actually useful, not just store the information, but interpret it. Help me quickly identify the people who are ready to move forward and separate them from the people who might need more education or follow-up. Because that's where businesses lose time, not collecting information, but deciding what to do with it. If the app could help with that, I'd consider the experiment a success. Now, this is where I think a lot of people accidentally sabotage AI. They give it almost no context. Build me a CRM, build me a lead tracker, build me an app. That's like hiring a new employee, walking them into your office and saying, figure it out. You wouldn't expect great results. So I approached Base 44 differently. Instead of treating it like a software builder, I treated it like a new team member. I explained how our agency works, who the customer is, what information we need, what should happen after someone submits the form, how we decide who's a priority, what the dashboard should help us accomplish. In other words, I gave it context before I expected results. Because context is what separates an AI demo from something that can actually solve a business problem. Then I hit enter and I waited. Honestly, this was the part I expected to break. It's one thing to generate a landing page. It's another thing to build an actual workflow. The form has to work. The responses have to be stored. The dashboard has to update. The ranking has to make sense. Every piece has to connect to the next one. If any one of those pieces failed, the whole experiment would fall apart. But within a few minutes, Base 44 came back with a working application. The public forum was there. The private dashboard was there. The lead information was being collected. The workflow actually existed. Now, just because something exists doesn't mean it works. And that's the part I was most interested in. So the next step wasn't admiring the app, it was trying to break it, because that's what would tell me whether this was actually useful or just another impressive looking AI demo. So what did this experiment actually prove? For me, it came down to 3 simple lessons. The first one, start with the problem, not the tool. AI has made building easier than it ever has been before, but it still can't tell you what's worth building. That's your job. The businesses that win over the next few years won't be the ones building the most apps, they'll be the ones solving the most valuable problems. That's a huge difference. The second lesson, think in systems, not features. A feature can be impressive. A system creates results. In this case, someone fills out a form, their information gets organized, the business immediately knows who to contact, and the sales process moves forward. That's a complete workflow. That's something people will actually use, because businesses don't buy features, they invest in outcomes. And the third lesson, never confuse speed with accuracy. The biggest advantages of AI is that it lets you move incredibly fast. But faster doesn't mean you stop thinking. I still test every submission. I clicked every link. I verified the dashboard. I opened it on a different device. I made sure everything worked the way I expected it. AI should remove busy work, not remove your judgment. And I think that's where a lot of people are missing the bigger picture. This experiment wasn't impressive because an AI built an app. That's becoming normal. The interesting part is how quickly an idea became something useful. A few years ago, building a custom internal tool like this probably meant hiring a developer, writing requirements, back and forth, waiting weeks, maybe even months before you had something you could actually test. Now, you can have a working version in a matter of minutes, not because AI replaced developers, because it dramatically shortened the distance between an idea and the first version you can put in front of real people. And I honestly think that's the biggest shift happening right now. The competitive advantage isn't just knowing how to write code anymore. It's understanding businesses, understanding customers, understanding workflows, because when you know those things, AI becomes an amplifier. It helps you build solutions faster. It helps you test ideas sooner. It helps you spend less time wondering and more time improving. That's exactly why I wanted to make this video. Not to convince you that every AI app is a business, and definitely not to convince you that software developers are going away. I wanted to show you what happens when you start with a real business problem and use AI to solve it. If you've been sitting on an idea because you thought building the software was the hard part, I hope this changes your perspective. Try building the first version, test it, break it, improve it, because you'll learn more from one working prototype than you ever will from another month of thinking about it. If you want to build something similar, I've linked Base 44 down in the description. I've also included my complete prompt vault so you can copy the exact prompts I used in this video, modify them, and build something around your own business. And now I'm curious, if you could build one tool to save yourself time every single week, what would you build? Let me know down in the comments. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing. Every week I share practical ways to use AI, automation, and marketing systems to build better businesses, not just cool tools. Thanks again to Base 44 for sponsoring this video. This is Zeus Ordaz. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.